Understood the assignment, English 101. For a couple of years, there's been a fun little meme threading its way through TikTok and Instagram. He or she or they understood the assignment. It's often a funny or clever image of someone doing something uniquely and perfectly. Someone really understood what was required in the situation and did it in a memorable, powerful, and lovely way. Simone Biles, for instance, has more than one gymnastics move named after her because she really understands the assignment. This idea seems like a good way to start an English class. The purpose of this class is to serve your other classes, to prepare you to understand the assignment. It's meant to help you be powerful and clear and memorable as a writer, to show you how to approach research, and to help you understand how to set up and do written assignments. Some English classes show you how to understand the assignment by giving you very good literature to read and absorb. Your job is to understand excellence by analyzing excellence specifically in word choice, grammar, and storytelling. This is a traditional method, and it can provide an excellent and deep experience of our shared culture and feelings about our culture. Other English classes, a second type, focus on writing from disciplines or topics of interest. This kind of class tends to be more outward or professionally focused, and our class will be of this second type. In both kinds of classes, sometimes you're asked to figure out what's excellent and imitate it on your own. But I would like to say this: no matter what readings are provided as examples, every student needs to learn the analysis of assignments, not of writing, but of assignments, in order to become a reliably excellent writer who knows what should be produced for the audience requiring, requesting, demanding, or hoping for the writing. An analysis is a detailed examination of something complex in order to understand its nature or essential features. So we will be examining writing assignments and analyzing them. When you are analyzing a problem of any type, trying to understand its nature or its essential features, it helps a lot if you know what the answers could be. To give you an example, recently my home heater broke. I asked a friend to come over to look at it. He knew how to open the right panel to access the internal LED lights that showed what the possible problem was. To me, the whole thing was a mystery, but to him, who knew where to look to find out what the answers could be, it was simple. It was just a matter of looking at the right place to determine which of the possible problems it was. And there are about 10 types of problems, some more expensive, some less expensive. I'll let you guess what kind mine was. Well, in the same way that a heater has a standard set of things that can go wrong with it, so too writing assignments have standard patterns, and if you know what you're looking for, you can determine how to attack the problem of an assignment. Most often, you are being asked to do one of 4 things, and sometimes you are being asked to do a combination of those 4 things. Those 4 things are summary, explanation, critique, and argument. As soon as you get an assignment, look for those 4 elements to see if they are within the work you need to do. A summary typically asks you to interact with a single source in order to shorten it for faster consumption and to highlight its essential features. The reader wants to know if he or she should engage with this item. The writer is essentially answering 2 questions. What is it? And is it for me? We use summaries all the time to decide whether or not we will read a book or watch a TV show or a movie. And this happens to be a screenshot of the Amazon summary of the textbook I use in my History of Science class. So I invite you to come along at some point in the future. And this is the summary of that book. The indications in the back of a bottle of medicine are also a kind of summary, and they're hugely important to get right. Weather reports are another kind of summary that you need or hope will be correct. And we don't want to hear what's going to happen every minute of the day, but we do want a general sense of what's going to happen across the day. A lot of intellectual effort goes into shortening up experiences and making them understandable for other people. A fair bit of this kind of summary work is being handed over to AI. In this class, we will be thinking about where AI intersects with the kind of writing and analytical work we're doing. Well, now, an explanation is a kind of expanded summary. Frequently, you must assemble more than one source and combine them in order to provide a picture. You can be asked to provide a state of the field, which is often called a literature survey. In this kind of assignment, you need to decide what the essential questions are that most people in the field are dealing with and who the best writers on those subjects are. A map is a good analogy, a good way to understand this kind of explanation assignment. Provide what is needed to navigate the terrain. For instance, the image on the left will tell you how to get to Northampton Community College from the road. The image on the right will tell you that the library is located in the center building on campus. You're seeing the same image, but they're telling you slightly different things. Both of them are an overview of the field, quite literally. But an explanation can also be more like an argument. Why something is the way that it is can involve having to marshal your reasons. It can be about a flashpoint of disagreement, like, why didn't you clean up your room? In other words, why is this like this? Your job is to offer a new or a better understanding of a situation. Now, a critique takes that kind of explanation one step farther. In addition to summarizing multiple sources, you are asked to offer your informed opinion about the subject. Seeking an informed opinion is a very natural kind of activity. People who have experience are valuable. A good critique shows that the person writing the critique has paid attention to the details of the experience, has a useful comparative experience, can offer sensible suggestions for improvements, and has the courage to give a judgment, yes or no, good or not, try it or don't try it. A lot of people have opinions on what's the best kind of bread, and a lot of people have opinions on what's the best kind of cranberry. But you would ask these questions of somebody who has some experience in the field of, say, Thanksgiving. And a very common place for critique is the restaurant and the food business. How does it taste? How does it compare to others like it? I'll pause here to say that if you ever had to buy a new car, you probably asked a friend who knew something about cars what car to buy. In the example of the home heater, I asked someone who knew something about electronics and HVAC for an opinion. I'm going to give you one other example of a critique, which is a movie, which we use all the time, and we often have standardized ways of critiquing, so we have a set of tomatoes we can use to think about it. Again, attention to details, comparative experience, sensible improvements, and some kind of decision, should I go through this movie or not, are all of what we expect in a critique. But it's not too much to say that college is about educating yourself to have an informed opinion about essential problems you will encounter in your discipline and in the world. Learning the steps of a critique is a very important part of this class. Well, last, you may be asked for an argument. What should we do and why should we do it? An argument tells the reader that he or she should understand a problem in a new way and also suggests that the reader or society should do something differently. This kind of assignment is usually linked to a broad social issue, but can also be linked to a specific situation. For instance, you could be asked for your opinion or your informed opinion on seatbelts, and then you would argue whether or not seatbelts should be worn. That's a kind of broad social situation. But a lawyer arguing a case about seatbelts in a particular accident might focus on a specific situation in order to make clear that the defendant is not to blame. The lawyer presents the elements of the case and explains the overall situation by putting those elements together to provide an understanding of the case and asks the jury to act to protect the client. So here we have analyzing the situation, explaining the situation, and requiring or requesting an action. That's typically what an argument does. These are the four big types of assignments: summary, explanation, critique, and argument. Most often you will get a writing assignment that expects you to do some variant of explanation and critique. The word analyze or argue could be used, which means you must decide maybe 3 to 5 components of your explanation and how these points will inform and support your opinion or your argument. To go back to my earlier example, when my friend was looking at the heater, I had to run and get the right size screwdriver in order to open the panel. A specific tool was necessary to do the analysis. He could have used a hammer to move a hexagonal screw, but a much faster approach was to get the right size screwdriver. In the same way, if you are asked to do something in an assignment, you should pick the tool or combination of tools that fits the job. In our next lectures, I'll go into more detail on each of these kinds of work. For a summary, the author must decide how much to retain and how much to discard in order to give a smaller but still accurate picture of the whole. Finding the author's main points and best quotes are what goes into a good summary. Being descriptive and faithful without being lengthy constitutes excellence in a summary. An explanation sometimes relies on describing cause and effect or making several comparisons and contrasts. It also starts with understanding the parts that will go into the whole. Often the author of an explanation silently decides what is important and what is not important, and does not describe what is not important. Someone who thinks an explanation is a poor one will say, "But you left out the most important thing." For example, when a mother asks, "Why is your room dirty?" and the child says, "I couldn't find the vacuum cleaner," the mom might say in return, "But you didn't look for it, and you spent most of your Saturday outside playing." An excellent explanation is convincing. A critique involves paying attention, having experience, and being able to suggest improvements. Car and driver reviews often embody these qualities excellently. We expect the writer to have paid attention to the experience of driving a car, we expect the writer to compare the car to other cars like it, and we expect the writer to offer a few suggestions about improving the car. Very often the writer will indicate who should and who should not buy that car. Finally, an argument asks the reader to act or to change. An argument requires that the writer demonstrate his or her authority to require or request a change. A writer can invoke moral considerations, and often a writer is marshaling logical reason for change. An excellent argument involves ethical, logical, and emotionally persuasive reasons to act. In this class, we will practice understanding the assignment, and I will do my best to teach you how to approach each assignment with excellence.